Good morning, everyone. I should say good afternoon from Jeff's Little Engine Service. So it's just us hanging out in the backyard today. Me, the dogs, the chickens, and this is the project for the day. It's a Craftsman riding lawnmower. It's one of these dark green ones. You've probably seen them around. There's a million of them. I noticed that the engine isn't quite running the way it should, and I'll show you what I mean. It starts easy, it runs great, it idles great, but it just doesn't sound right to me, and it seems like it's lacking a little bit of power. So let's try and figure out what's going on here. So if you've never removed one of these hoods, there is a trick to it. You basically just lift it up, and you want to disconnect the headlight wire, which I've already done. And what you do is, as you lift it up, you pull upwards, and it comes right off. And look at that beautiful Briggs and Stratton engine. I have the heat shields removed on both sides, the shields that go over the cylinder heads. Actually, it came in that way. But let me show you how it runs. Sounds good, right? But watch this. Didn't change, did it? So it will run on one cylinder. That's what's going on, actually. So one of the ways that helped me determine that it was a coil that was going bad, or more specifically it was this cylinder here that wasn't functioning, was that I got the motor running for a while, and I reached down and I felt the exhaust manifolds, and the exhaust manifold on this side was red hot. Couldn't even touch it. The exhaust manifold over here was pretty cold. So that told me right there that this cylinder wasn't creating combustion, wasn't creating heat to go out this exhaust pipe here. So that's how I determined that that cylinder wasn't functioning correctly. And I checked for spark, and I saw no spark, and I'll show you how I did that. Just got to make sure that the spark plug wire isn't all rusted out, so you have a good connection with the spark plug. This is a brand new spark plug, by the way. And I basically just wedged it right up here where it would stay and would be grounded, because you have to ground the spark plug to test it out. Okay. So you want to make sure you ground the spark plug to a nice piece of metal, not aluminum, but a good solid metal bolt on the engine. And when you turn the engine over, you should see spark at the spark plug there, which I didn't. So that's why I wasn't afraid to grab that spark plug wire. I'm going to turn the engine over so you can watch for yourself to see if you can see spark. No spark, so we know that most likely we have a coil that's bad. So to do that, you need to take off this cover here, and as I said, I've already removed the heat shields on both sides. You have a couple bolts here and a couple bolts on this side to remove those covers, but you don't need to remove those covers to lift off this top red cover. What you need to keep in mind is that you have your oil dipstick attached to this cover. Alright, so we need a coil. I think I know where one's at. Just go marching into the jungle here. The lawnmower jungle, that is. And boom. That's my victim right there. I believe we have a good coil on this engine, so let's pull it. What do you think, everybody? Yeah, let's do it. Don't need that. So I've got a 5/16 that I'll loosen up this dipstick with. I probably will end up putting these shrouds on too, back on this other engine, because those shrouds actually aid in cooling to the twin cylinders. So they're pretty important to have on there. It's an air-cooled engine, and that air circulation is what cools each side. These covers help keep that air circulating around. So this is the bracket that holds the oil dipstick on. And once again, I think I've already taken the 3/8 bolt out of this side, and I've also taken it out from behind here. This was for that other engine I stole these parts for already. It looks like that one's almost gone. So yeah, you have a bolt under here, right under here, the 3/8 back here, and under here. I'll take these bolts off on each side here. Alright, so that's good enough for me to get this coil off here. There it is. That's what we're going for. There's two 5/16 bolts on there, but I can't get them off. I need to go get a socket. I hope this coil is still good. Let's take this sucker off of there. Okay, so all you have to do is disconnect the kill wire on the bottom of the coil, and that just pulls right off with a little bit of effort. There we go. And disconnect the wires from the spark plugs, and should be able to pull it through. Some pretty narrow passageways these wires have to come through, but alright. Okay, so here's our first look at this thing. Looks like it's in decent shape, sort of, but I think it works. So let's test it out. There we go. Voila. And there's the coil. So the gap between the coil and the flywheel magnets is 0.012 inches. Disconnect the grounding wire. Sometimes you have to pry it off of there. Oh, there we go. get these spark plug wires untangled here. You can just bend up this cover to get the wires to come through. Okay, help me remember this. Bad coil, good coil. Help me remember this. Bad coil, good coil. Bad coil, good coil. Bad coil. Doesn't matter which way you put the coil, so make sure you put it back the way you took it off. So the screws off of the salvage motor were in a little better shape than the screws off of this motor, so we're going to use these. I would just lightly snug them down so you can still move the coil. Alright, time to gap this thing. So, you see that gap right there? That's the gap. So, see, those are the magnets on the flywheel right here. And as they go past the coil, that's what generates the spark, or the magneto. Set this side first. Not fully tight yet, just enough to confirm the measurement. Needs to be opened a bit. And it's kind of tough to get that measurement too because it's curved, but just do the best you can. Sometimes I'll just put the feeler gauge in there like that and tap on the coil. Yeah, I think that's pretty good on that one. On to this one. Okay, I'm going to tighten them both down and not too tight because these bolts are very easy to break and you'll be hating life if you break them. Both are tight. Time to double check because quite often when you tighten down it readjusts it for you. I think we're a little tight on this side still, so I'm going to readjust that. I think that's going to work. Alright, time to reconnect the spark plug wires and test this baby out. Just poke the wires right under there. Actually, which one is which? I assume the long wire is what goes to the other side. Yeah, so this is the long one here. It's a little rusty in there. I don't know if you can see that, so I'll make sure to clean that out with a file or some sandpaper first. Make sure you don't pinch these cables in there. There's little slots that they go through. think I'm going to leave this cover off just to test it out, see how it runs. Bet you it's going to run perfect now. Yeah, I can tell it's running on both cylinders now. It sounds a lot smoother. And I'm sure we'd be able to tell a difference if I removed the spark plug wire. Let's see. Yep,